The day before the 1979 counterattack, Vietnamese executives are satisfied. The Chinese army will not fight with them. The result is just the opposite. When the Vietnamese bosses fly to Phnom Penh in a beautiful mood, when taking a group photo, the People's Liberation Army is ready to make a stunning appearance. February 10th, 1979. The leaders of Yu Fang were detained by high-ranking Cambodian officials all the way. A warm bath at Phnom Penh airport. They were overjoyed in the excitement. But the news came the next day, and it was in vain. February 17th, our army suddenly gave the moon a loud counterattack. The gang hurried back to Vietnam, run to Hanoi to command the counterattack. They're scolding us with the chimps on the side, gearing up for battle. The People's Liberation Army counterattack is not sudden. Looking back, it was July 1978. Vietnam County is uneasy and malicious provocation. Touch our nerves in Border County. The crack was revealed. 1,100 tragedies have been staged. Plum Duan in Vietnam always wanted to be the boss of Southeast Asia. The winner's crown. Act restlessly. Torn up the agreement on the South China Sea Islands. Publicly announce a group of island crisis friends in our country. Forcibly expel the overseas Chinese in our country. Provoke bloodshed. Deng Gong saw this series of actions. He saw Vietnam's ambitions and hidden targets. Consider these acts exposed its plot to dominate Southeast Asia, a danger to our country's security. 1 hour in 1979, Deng Gong conducted a mission to the United States. An extraordinary visit. The President of the United States. During the high-level talks held by Carter, Deng Gong solemnly stated, if not for Vietnam's aggression, and give a favorable response to the suppression of overseas Chinese, Vietnam, which may be stirred, will not stop. Carter is kind of testing. Implied. Even the U.S. military suffered defeats in the Red River region. Deng Gong was full of confidence. It's not sheer arrogance. It's confidence in the strength of the troops. Li Duan didn't expect it. His actions have already touched the red line of our country. With Deng Gong's return from the United States, our country quickly prepared for a counterattack. Su Xiu and the two generals Yang Desi did as ordered. Lead the east and west counties to 200,000 troops ready to go. Enter Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, as soon as possible, in the preparation lineup. Our country knows what Vietnam has done. Anger comes out of the heart. Gearing up. Can't swallow this breath? Remembering the tough battle to resist U.S. aggression and aid Korea. The fame of the past still echoes in my ears, not to mention the current energy. At the same time, the military in the border areas of our country has moved troops. It has long been noticed by the Vietnamese side. But they are sitting like Dao Yutai. Leave your door alone. He actually ran out of the country to Cambodia to collect heat. Behind it is a top gifter of its own power. In 1979, when our country's relations with the Soviet Union were frequent, Le Fang took refuge in the Soviet background boss and cooperate with him in the cold wind resistance to China. Vietnam at that time just forgot. We were selfless in the Vietnam War. Helped them. $20 billion for pillar materials. It's a real curse. By 1978, Vietnam clung to the lap of the Soviet Union, firmed up its determination to get along with China. They want something bigger than endorsement. Soviet Union. It is also planning to expand its interests in Southeast Asia. They hit it off, signed the Soviet Moon Treaty, and formed military allies. This is how Vietnam used the Soviet Union as a backing. Make no secret of your growing ambitions. Resolutely declare resistance to the Chinese court. Line up to say that their army is the third largest in the world. Victory is in sight. However, Deng Gong served. Firmly state that we will fight back in self-defense. Issued a strong warning to stop Vietnam. But Feng Zheng was intoxicated by the invasion of Cambodia. In the ecstasy of dismissive of our ultimatum, Li lost. He even said contemptuously that China could not go to war. I thought I could get a good beauty sleep now. The result is the next day. The People's Liberation Army appears silently on the border. Hundreds of tanks are ready to depart for Hanoi. This sudden movement panicked the Vietnamese soldiers. The information was quickly passed to the top. Already. Vietnamese Prime Minister Li begins his visit to Cambodia. Ting Yi, Deputy Prime Minister Nguyen, Lê Dinh quickly flew back to Hanoi. hastily plan a confrontation. But just the day before, they're at Phnom Penh Airport in Cambodia. Received a warm welcome in the midst of laughter. Report good news to Li Duan. Who would have thought that while Li Xuan was sleeping soundly, our army has started counter-guerrilla warfare. Let Li Xuan's sleeping cakes heal instantly. February 17th, 19. Zhang Gong during his visit to the United States. An emergency call at dawn. Hit Hanoi. General Giap can't sit still. Hurry up and report to their leader Li Shang to the People's Liberation Army. Hundreds of thousands of troops. The news that the armored forces are approaching southward. When Li Shang answered the message, I'm still a little sleepy. However, the unexpected news immediately woke him up. Despite efforts to maintain leadership, make the appearance that the Ding Tok military parade on the board can be assured. But I actually understand. Optimistic hope is really not big. With the anti-season war of self-defense against the moon kicking off quickly, General Yang Dezi led the Western fleet to attack from left to right. The Red River strategy ended in one fell swoop. The Vietnamese defenders could not resist. Rooted. Wu Yuanjie hasn't stabilized yet. I heard that the port post near the old street also bumped into our army. Immediately disrupted the square corner. Hurry up and turn the reinforcements back. In order to seize the old street and plug the throat of the enemy army. Our army's east and west counties have completed the meeting in Laoji. Wu Yuanjie could only command powerlessly. The defenders are on hold. The People's Liberation Army is pressing. 3 days of continuous bombardment. Let the Vietnamese army retreat. Old Street also fell into the hands of our army. Message back to Hanoi. Vietnamese executives were amazed. They can't imagine that the People's Liberation Army offensive is so fierce. However, manpower is sometimes unable to defeat God's will. The Vietnamese people are even more worried when they hear about it. I have a hunch. Hanoi could fall to China within a month. The first at the same time. The Eastern Constitutional Forces are in the hands of General Xu Xiu. One by one, retrieved the fortress in northern Vietnam, including fame in Vietnamese history, a well-made fortress. After 7 days of bombardment, Liangshan City was finally captured by our army. Jaguar crash. For a time, the Vietnamese high-level officials panicked. Sweep the mountains? It's unraveled. The last line of defense against our army? The safety of Hanoi is like thunder. Subsequently, the People's Liberation Army continues to advance unstoppably. It's mid-March. Our troops are no joke. A total of 40 kilometers were pushed to the mainland of Vietnam, even if you ask Yu Fang about the so-called Ace 346. It also won more than 20 important points of high equality. In a few moments, a series of failures came from the domestic side. Yu Fang's high-ranking officials blew the world. It looks like a bubble at the moment. The bosses in Vietnam are discouraged. If the People's Liberation Army were more awesome, Hanoi will change sooner or later. In fact, it's enough. Just as they go up and down, thinking about how to hold on, and then, our country has spoken. The front line is enough. Announce that our troops will withdraw. Emphasize that we only need to be safe. Don't care about an inch of their land. But also, we will never allow anyone to step into our territory. Result? Vietnamese executives went from calm to chaos, and then to the 3 stages of secretly having fun. The reactions are all impractical. The chances of winning are all gone. In the end, I had to feel sad, silently accept the bitter fruit of failure.